It's time for the new named Trending Tuesday.
Oh boy, that's streamlined.
Yeah, Trending Tuesday. We called it Current Events Tuesday for the last few months. I don't know why we didn't just do Trending Tuesday. Now, when we say trending, we're just talking about things that we have found on the internet like in the last couple of days. Things that are... They might not... When we say trending, I think one of the reasons why I steered away from trending might have been because... When you say trending, people think you're going to get on and talk nothing but about celebrities and things like that. And it's like, no, we're kind of talking about like new studies that come out and celebrities, but we're talking about everything. But we're going to stick with that Trending Tuesdays. So without further ado, I'm Justin.
And I'm JP.
And we're the Podcasting Dead. Yes, from the title, you can tell we do talk about The Walking Dead. But as you can see from this podcast, we podcast about many, many different things, including upcoming paranormal podcast, woke podcasts, Fear the Walking Dead, The Walking Dead. We did Game of Thrones. We'll probably do the prequel show, The Watchmen, when that comes out. So if you are a fan of podcasting in general, consider hitting that subscribe button. I'm sure we produce something that you'll enjoy. And if we don't, I mean, as long as you don't hit that bell notifications, it won't bother you when we produce new stuff. But if you are into what we do and you do subscribe, like on YouTube, hit the bell notification, and it'll let you know when we post new content. Also, we are available on Soundcloud and CASTBOX, and working on iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Spotify. So we've been working on Spotify for a while. I'm going to have to maybe create a new SoundCloud account just for Spotify.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, but we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. So let's go. JP, are you ready to talk about some stuff that's happening now?
Like right now?
Right now.
Yeah, I guess.
I figured I would cover one that would get your attention first. You ready?
Oh, okay.
So we're talking about bikinis. You're intrigued, right?
Yeah.
All right. So I was looking up, and on thesun.com, there's a new bikini on sale that's designed to look like two hands are holding and covering your boobies. And the hands are connected with a sheer material, so unless someone gets pretty close, all they would see would be the hands. And just for what it's worth, the designer made the bikini hands look like women's hands with red painted nails. That's probably a better look than like hairy man hands.
Yeah, probably so. It's funny. I read that one on the radio morning show, and I went into a Dolly Parton song out of it. It was pretty clever.
Well, also too, these are on sale, but they're expensive. It's $326.
Are you kidding me?
$326.
Man, I can squeeze up on some real boobs for that kind of money.
Say, just you know, it's pay JP like $100. He'll follow you around the beach or the pool all day and just make it look a lot more genuine.
Yep.
But yeah, there they are. You can find them online.
Oh,
it's not kind of what I was thinking, but interesting.
That's wild.
Interesting. You should buy some for yourself and then wear them into the studio when we start video podcasting.
So do you think they'll make like a Speedo for dudes that just looks like a guy's hand like holding his junk?
Oh, man, I don't know. Would you buy one?
I'd have to. Why not?
I don't know why. I am not surprised. So, JP, let's talk about dogs. We know the puppy eyes usually get our four-legged friends whatever they want, right?
Yeah, it usually works.
I know with my dog, if I get the sad puppy eyes, I'm going to at least give him a little treat or a little scrap of food or something, even if he's breaking the rules. Well, it turns out, according to ABC News, that that's not just by coincidence. It's a result of tens of thousands of years of evolution. The researchers believe that when dogs were domesticated about 33,000 years ago, some of them started figuring out that when they made that face, it helped them to get what they wanted from humans. So the muscles in their faces evolved to make it easier for them to make that facial expression, to the point where now it's very widespread. Ancient dogs didn't actually have those muscles, and wolves don't either. The researchers said, quote, "You don't typically see such muscle differences in species that are closely related," which means that dogs evolved those muscles for a reason, and that reason is to manipulate us.
Huh. That's wild, man. It's just wolves figured out they could eat better just, picking off our scraps than, out there hunting gazelle or whatever.
Yeah. When I go home and Charlie gives me the puppy eyes, I'm like, your evolution can't fool me. Get out the kitchen.
It's wild, man.
And then I probably still will give him something.
Just every little weird breed of dog just comes from wolves,
Right, yeah.
How wild is that?
It's like all got a starting point.
Yep.
And moving on, found this one on metro.com. So when you are looking for a job, there's a lot of small stuff that goes into getting the job. So they put out a list of things that can ruin your chances of getting the job. Mm-hmm. So if you're on the job hunt, pay attention. This might help you. Number one, not applying for the job properly in the first place, like emailing the wrong person or not using the online system they set up for applications. Just read the job description carefully and do exactly what they say. And while that sounds like common sense, it is easy to kind of glaze over stuff like that and just get excited and jump the gun and send it to who you think it needs to go to or whatnot, or skip the online and send a resume thinking, oh, they just want my resume. I don't need to do the application. Just do what they say. You know, as someone who's been in management, JP, you've been in management for a while too. It's all we always have an appreciation for someone that follows instructions more than someone that just jumps the gun, or you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure. You know, it's weird. I've never had to make a resume. Like I've never had, applied for a job.
I've got one, but it hadn't been updated in a long time.
So I mean, the radio stuff I just fell into, and other than that, it's just been retail and odd jobs.
I'll tell you, from a management standpoint, man, I can try to be all lovey-dovey and new age and be like, no, we love. Taking initiative is sometimes, as a manager, you like it when someone takes initiative, but there is a such thing as too much. You know what I mean? Like, I want you to follow instructions. I've hired you to complete tasks. I want you to do those. Now, if you have suggestions or if you do things that need to be done without me asking you, that's taking initiative. That's awesome. But when, you have someone that will waste company time trying to tell you why they don't think they should have to do that, you know what I mean? Or trying to tell you that you just need to redo the whole. It's like, okay, you know what? We can talk about this later. Right now, I've hired you to follow instructions, get these things done so that we can run efficiently, and then we'll discuss them later at a meeting. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, people just got to learn. Like, if it's something like that, say, hey, I'd love to sit down with you sometime. I've got some ideas I think could really help speed up. That's taking initiative, but just not doing what you're told and then labeling it as I'm taking initiative. It's not, and managers see right through that.
There's a chain of command,
Number two, not being fun enough in your interview. I can see that. It depends on the job, but in general, people like to work with others that they like to be around. So if you come off as kind of boring and stiff, it takes your chances on down. Don't mean you have to pull out a full-on stand-up routine, but if you can make them laugh or you see a friendly opportunity, just take it.
I mean, it's all about schmoozing,
Oh, yeah. That's it. Now, however, this next one kind of contradicts that in a way. Being too fun is not a good thing either. Some people overdo it and act like they're talking to a friend instead of a potential boss. So you want to be likable, but you need to be professional, not like you're hanging out at the bar with friends. That's sometimes the hardest things with working in smaller companies is sometimes the line between friend and boss kind of blurs, and you do get to thinking that your boss is, your friend, in which some cases they might be. But at the end of the day, you have to realize that when you're in that workspace, your manager is your manager. I mean, outside of that workspace, I mean, which I still would advise to, depending on your manager. I mean, just get to know your manager first and foremost. But at the end of the day, when you're at work, they are your manager. So, joke around, have fun, but also understand, like you just said, the chain of command.
Yeah, man, I've definitely been in that situation with some people under me, and it really gets weird. Like, say there's like some hooking up going on, and then you have to,
between you and them?
Yeah, and then you have to, direct the person that, was, naked with you a couple nights before. And
that's why you typically don't do that.
Yeah, man, but it just feels so good because it's like that forbidden fruit, Like you're just crossing these boundaries and stuff gets.
And I hope you have enough sense to know who is able to handle that and who is not.
Oh no, I've never had that kind of sense. I just dump in head first.
Number 4 and the final thing, still using an embarrassing email address. Hopefully you've gotten rid of fingerbanging69@gmail.com because it's just not. You probably had it back when you were younger. I know someone that still uses a 69 in every one of their email addresses, and they've changed them, but it's like, you 69, Yeah. So if nothing else, keep that one for your friends, but create a more professional email address. But even just using the wrong email can make you look bad. So, sites like AOL, Excite, and Yahoo are seen as less professional. Gmail is kind of the new standard, which is, we do business with tons of people all the time. And I got to say, I think the vast majority of people, if they don't have their own server, their email address is at gmail.com. That's just
Gmail.
kind of what people use. Speaking of which, you can always email us at podcastingdeadpodcast@gmail.com. So, yeah, there's always that. So if you're looking for a job, keep those things in mind, and you should be just fine. JP, you and I think we want to be on the road. I think that life might not allow it, but if we had it our way in a perfect world, we would just travel. Just go see different places and see the world, really, which I think the vast majority of people want to do that anyway, so it's not anything unique or special, but we would love to travel, right?
I get to feeling cagey all the time. Yeah, I'd like to just stay on the go.
Well, our good friends over at Wallet Hub just released its annual list of the best states for a summer road trip.
Huh.
And you're going to be shocked at number one. You're going to be pretty shocked, I believe. But, you know, it's basically, so if you're planning a road trip this summer, this is going to help you out. So they based it on 33 different metrics like traffic, gas prices, number of attractions, quality of the roads, and the weather. And this year, North Carolina took down Wyoming to snag that top spot.
Really?
But the thing is, like, we seriously live, 20 minutes from North Carolina? I mean, like, at no point in this town, which is your town, or my town, which is like 30 minutes away, I can be in North Carolina in under 20 minutes. Like, we live right on the border between Virginia and North Carolina. Mm-hmm. And their other stuff must be killing it, because it said they based it on the quality of the roads. North Carolina has some of the worst roads I've ever driven on in my entire life. I mean, like, it doesn't matter how smooth your car is. There are potholes everywhere. There's broken road. It's always under construction, but they're never fixing anything. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I'm not hating on North Carolina. I've had lots of fun in North Carolina. I love Raleigh, Cary, all of those areas. Durham, not as much, but Greensboro.
Yeah, man. What's cool about North Carolina? You got the bigger metropolitan cities. You got mountains. You got beaches. You got a little something for everybody, except for deserts. No deserts.
Right, that we know of.
Yeah, I haven't found one yet.
But yeah, so I can kind of see that. 3 new states also made the top 10 this year. You ready for this?
I hope so.
Wisconsin's in 10th place, Oregon's in 8th place, and Virginia came in at 4th.
Is that right?
That's right, Virginia. See, like, a lot of times when I hear people talk about, they think Virginia's boring, I'm like, well, that's because you stay in this area. Mm-hmm. If you venture out into other parts of Virginia, there are lots of we have cities in Virginia, we have country areas, we've got Virginia really has a little bit of everything. We're on the coast. I mean, in a couple of hours, you're at the beach. I've been to Virginia Beach many, many times. Myrtle Beach tends to be my favorite, which is in South Carolina, even though Myrtle Beach has gotten a little dangerous. I guess it's just because where I go is not dangerous. Mm-hmm. But been to Virginia Beach many times. It's close enough that me and my girlfriend and I have taken many day trips down there. Just pack up the dog and some chairs and some lunch and just drive to the beach and chill on it.
Virginia Beach isn't bad. It's definitely not my fave.
No. Have you been there? When's the last time you've been there, though?
It's been a few years.
It's really kind of come around. At one point, it was getting kind of dangerous and a little more sketchy looking. Now they've cleaned it up, and it's a lot of attractions out there. Last few times I've been, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, a lot of people, kind of dubbed it the ghetto by the sea. I never called it that, but I called that.
And I mean, I could understand back when I was in high school. I remember going with my parents, and a couple of times, and it wasn't the most desirable area. But here in the last decade, man, it's really kind of turned around.
Yeah, man. I really like
minus
the Outer
obviously
Banks.
the shooting that they just had down there, but
yeah. Oh yeah, God, that was awful.
Yeah, but so Virginia at number 4 and North Carolina at number 1. Now here's what's crazy: Florida, Washington, and Colorado dropped out of the top 10 for road trips. Yeah,
is that right?
I guess it's just Virginia's one of those places. Virginia, North Carolina. If you just don't plan to go to one place and you want to just kind of drive through the state and hit some of the cool stuff, then so for all of our friends overseas who say, hey, I want to visit America, what would you recommend? According to Wallet Hub, you should check out North Carolina and even Virginia. And lucky for you, they are smushed together. So you could actually do a 2-state road trip.
Lots of good historical stuff around. I mean, we got Jamestown, Williamsburg. D.C.
Monticello.
Monticello. D.C. might as well be in Virginia. I mean,
I've always considered it pretty much part of Virginia. Right. You could get there in 3 hours? Somewhere in that range?
Between 4 and 5, something like that.
What? It ain't never taken us 5 hours to get there unless you account for traffic.
I mean,
maybe if you're
map questing.
If you account, I'm pretty sure we've gotten there between 3 and 4 would be what I'd say, unless I'm just thinking of the beach.
Listen to me, map quest. Let's map quest this.
Showing your age there.
4 hours 19 according to this.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's never taken me 5 hours to get there, but 4 I could see more. I always thought between 3 and 4, but
yeah, but you're a little. If you're coming from your place, you're a little because I'd always hit.
That knocks off like a half hour, 45 minutes of the drive, right?
Yeah, I'd do like 58 to 85 to 95. And I
always forget when we talk about how far somewhere is. We have to account for the fact that unfortunately a lot of places are closer. For like Lynchburg takes you like what, an hour and a half to get to?
15, yeah.
It takes me like an hour max, maybe a little under an hour.
Yeah.
So like I said, between 3 and 4 hours typically, unless you have because Washington has some horrendous traffic. You ever go to D.C.,
get on
man,
66 and just sign your own death warrant.
The traffic is just terrible. So lots of things you can see and do. Maybe do a North Carolina, Virginia road trip. That'd be pretty cool.
I'm telling you, man, my favorite way to get to D.C., though, is still just going straight up 29.
Mm-hmm.
It's so scenic. You got a lot of little roadside
probably
eateries.
A little longer, right?
It is a little longer. You got a lot more stop and go traffic, but
29's a good highway.
Yeah, it
takes you many places.
It's mountainous. It's got some wineries through there.
That'd really be cool. Start at the bottom of North Carolina and work your way up, hitting like Raleigh and like you got Outer Banks and just hit up all these cool little spots. Assuming you have a week or two for a road trip.
Yeah,
and then make your way and let the final stop be at the very top of Virginia at D.C.
Oh, dude,
that'd be a great way to wrap it up, especially if you're not from America and you kind of want to get that American experience. A lot of important things happened in Virginia.
Yeah, they sure did. More presidents were born in Virginia than any other state.
And you can go to their homes. Mount Vernon, George Washington's home is here. You've got Monticello. It's a lot of really cool, like I said, Jamestown.
Yeah, I mean, Jamestown's where it's all started. The first permanent North American settlement was Jamestown.
Yeah, so it's a lot of things. So, yeah, I could see that. And JP and I both love history, so sorry if we're going on a little bit about the historical stuff. But I feel like if you're not from America and you want to get that kind of sense of America, start at the bottom of North Carolina, work your way up to the top of Virginia and D.C. So there you go. A lot of times we've been asked that a surprising amount by people that aren't from the States on the podcast, and we never really know what to tell them. We're like, it's a lot to see and do. It's a big continent. But now, hey, that's a simple answer. Tell you what, the easiest thing to do, start at the bottom of North Carolina and just make your way up to the top of Virginia.
It all depends on what you're into. If you're into
no, just do that.
Coke and hookers. I mean, well, I guess they're here too.
I was going to say,
it's not like they're not.
You're really taken away from this. Is the ultimate travel experience. You can have good historical and beach areas and stuff, and then you can get all the meth, crack, and heroin that you want.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that would make for a great vacation, but I'm not here to judge.
I don't know.
So check this out, JP. Do you plan for the future a lot?
No, I do not.
You
Much
don't?
to my dismay.
Oh, man. Well, according to a new study from mixedbook.com, it turns out that men spend more time picturing their future wedding than women.
Wait a minute. Men picture their future wedding more than women?
Men imagine and are planning in their head their wedding more than women do.
Like as a means to figure out how it happens so you can avoid it? Is that the kind of thing?
It's not a lot, though. The survey found that men are 8% more likely than women to think about the wedding, like what it would look like when they're dating someone. There's some other results from the survey. About 7 out of 10 married people say they had a picture of their wedding in their head before they met their significant other. The top things that people imagine are the location, their dress or suit, the food and drink, photos, and who they're going to invite. And the most common words people use to describe wedding planning are exciting, memorable, and stressful. I thought we were like on the decline of weddings.
Man, I hope we... don't get me started.
You say that in 1 year from now, we'll be like, congratulations to JP on his wedding.
Yeah, you better do some tests because I've obviously been replaced by some like alien doppelganger or something like that.
Maybe you've been taking advantage of all of the touristy things we were just talking about between Virginia and North Carolina. Your idea of a vacation. So moving on with some dumb criminal news because, man, criminals sometimes be dumb and it's entertaining. So this one comes to us from Bothell Kenmore Reporter. So I don't know. There's a 23-year-old guy named Eli from Washington, and back in April of last year, he was driving to work and intentionally drove his Camry into two people who were crossing the street. He told the cops that he was trying to, quote, get out of going to work.
Huh.
What? Why wouldn't you just like crash into a tree or something and then be like, oh, I had a wreck. I don't feel good. I got to spend the day in the hospital. Are you going to hit pedestrians?
Or just lie. You could always just lie.
Right.
You know, there's always that.
He said he worked in a school cafeteria and he hated the direction his life had taken. So the answer apparently was to run over pedestrians.
Okay, well, I guess that makes a little... That's like that Michael Douglas movie. What was it, Falling Down or something?
Fortunately, both of the people that he hit survived, even though he was going about 35 to 40 miles per hour when he hit them, which doesn't sound fast, but it's fast to get hit by a several thousand-pound moving object. Yeah. And he even eventually sped up as he saw them in the intersection. Wow. I think this guy's got a lot more going on than hating his job. He was in court last month and pled guilty to 3 different assault charges, and he was just sentenced to 14 years in prison. And I'm not even going to try to defend this guy. Like, he deserves that. He deserves that. JP, what's the silliest thing you've ever done to get out of work? What's the silliest excuse you've ever, which you hadn't really, in the couple of years you've been here, I don't think you've really called out much. I mean, you've always been pretty straight up. I got to do this tomorrow, or
yeah, man.
But what's the craziest thing you've ever said or done to get out of going to work?
This job I don't really hate. I've had other jobs where I just, the job before this, man, I went like 7 years and only call it out like twice. So I'm like punctuality. Well, man, I don't know about punctuality, but attendance. I'm pretty good with attendance. I mean, I really haven't missed a lot of work.
No, like I said, I don't think the few years you've been here, even if you have had to miss a day, which I don't think it's been, but like maybe 1 or 2 days. I
had a stomach bug at one point. I wish I could think of something funny to just make up, but nothing's coming out.
At least you're honest. So going back to weddings, JP's favorite topic.
Weddings and babies.
So this comes to us from SWNS Digital. Recently, a lot of the stuff that we do is surveys, because like I said, we just browse Google and even the forsaken Yahoo looking for stories. But, you get a lot of advice when you're planning to get married, or even before you even think about getting married. People that are married want to give you advice. It's like with kids. I'm only a month and a half into being a dad, and I have tried to make it my goal that I am not going to be that annoying parent that tries to pressure you into thinking you have to have kids. And I'm not going to try to be super dad and give everybody a lot of advice. Now, if somebody is to ask, hey, what did y'all do to get her to sleep at night, or what did you do when she did this? I'm happy to share what I know, but I can't stand those know-it-alls that just want to be like, I'm a dad. And
right.
It drives me crazy. And same thing with weddings. People that are married are like, oh, just wait till you get married. Yada. Like, I didn't ask. Yeah. I did not ask for your advice. It sounds like you're miserable in the fact that you're married and trying to project that out to me. I don't know.
A lot of that going around.
But you do get a lot of advice about weddings, and you'll ignore most of it because you feel the way we do. It's kind of human nature. Maybe this can be your guide to what you should actually listen to when people talk. A new survey asked people what wedding advice they wish they had gotten and that they would have followed. And here are the top 10 answers. Number 10, going backwards here, 14% said save stationery and keepsakes. Number 9, 14% said print a wedding book. Now, here's something to think about. The study was commissioned by a company that prints wedding books.
Okay.
So that might be why they put that there. Number 8, create a guest book, said 15%. 7, serve good food, said 21%. 6, create a wedding album, said 24%. Number 5, plan for the unexpected. Number 4, pay more attention to the little details. Number 3, stick to your budget. Number 2, take more pictures. And number 1, relax and enjoy the day.
Yeah, man, I was just in a wedding this past weekend, and I was definitely disappointed with the food. The chicken was dry. They had, like, roast beef and, like, this gravy sauce, but they didn't have anything to dip the gravy out with. Like, they had some awesome mashed potatoes, but I can't dip out my saucy gravy to put over the mashed potatoes.
So it's a crime.
It was just stupid.
I think that's why I'm so hesitant to get married, man. It's just like the whole wedding process is not appealing. It's not a matter of loving someone or not. And ultimately, if I do, it'll be, it's just like if I have a wedding, which I think my girlfriend and I have agreed, if we get married, it's going to be a very small affair.
At the beach, I bet.
No,
not
that's
the
what I
beach.
want at the beach. Yeah, my girlfriend said absolutely not at the beach. Just she doesn't like the like. I could live at the beach, and some people are like, oh, you get sick of it. No, I can assure you, I know the way I feel when I'm at the beach. I've been there for extended periods of time, and it's the only place where leaving is really hard to do. If I go out, on vacation out in the woods, which I love being in the woods, but I mean, after a few days in a cabin, you're kind of like, it's been fun, but I'm kind of ready to get home. Mm-hmm. I'm never that way. But I would love to get married on the beach. She doesn't really care as much for the beach as I do. But it's going to be a very small affair. I'm not even wearing a tux. Like we'll go wear like I told you, I want to get my groomsmen. If my groomsmen, because I just think it sucks to ask your groomsmen to be in your wedding, which is an honor and thank you. But then you're also saying, okay, and do you mind spending a couple $100 and doing everything I asked you?
Oh yeah, I dropped $220 on this tux this last weekend.
It's just insane. You don't even get to keep the damn thing. So what I would do is maybe $50, right? Like go spend $50 and we'll figure out a pant and shirt button up color, and we'll all go buy that to match or whatever. But the good news is you can keep it and wear it at other affairs, yada, 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 and you're only spending $40 or $50 versus spending $200 on something that you've got to turn back in, and God forbid you stain that sucker up. I love when they're like, do you want to put insurance on it? No, I paid you $200 to rent it. I should be able to piss all over this thing, and you deal with it. Jesus, I done paid half the price of the damn tux to wear it for 4 hours. Get out of here. I think it's a ripoff, man. But then, too, I think that weddings are just all... It's just what would we call that? Consumerism? Like it's just all the whole idea of weddings just stems from everybody wanting to, to be a prince or a princess and just seeing, because what I was reading, like it came from ancient traditions, because back in the day, just you and your significant other went to the church and boom, you got married. Whereas, royalty had these big affairs and these fancy dresses and fine dining, and eventually people just wanted to. And I'm not saying if that's what you want, there's anything wrong with you, but I'm just saying, for me, that's just not as appealing. You know what I mean? I just feel like it's all just a big money racket, kind of like diamonds. I've watched a documentary on how big of a ripoff diamonds are. Like they're not rare. They're not. You have rare diamonds, but I mean, typically the wedding ring you spend, engagement ring, which you spend like it's probably valued at like 10-20% what you actually pay for it. But anyways, I digress.
Yeah, a lot of those diamonds come from like war-torn countries, like funding warlords.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, just the idea of a big fancy wedding has never been appealing to me. I would like something much smaller and intimate with people that I care about there. And then maybe, like what I wanted to do was go to Ocean Lakes. They have this really sweet observation deck. Mm-hmm. Sweet observation deck. It's huge, and you actually can get married up there. Just take a few people there. What would you say?
I was going to say, and why is your girlfriend so opposed to the beach?
She just doesn't love it the way that I do.
I mean, but still, just for like a wedding, like a weekend wedding, man, it just seems, I don't know.
Well, like what I wanted to do, right, I wanted to go up there, right, and take the people in the wedding and nobody more. Just the people in the wedding. Now, if you want to come up there and rent your own condo, then sweet. But go up there, get married on the observation deck. We'll spend the night there. We'll have a little private celebration. You know what I mean? Like we'll go back to the condo. We'll drink some, blah, 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 blah. And then we come home and like either that evening or maybe the evening afterwards, we have like a reception for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That to me seems a lot funner because you spend like weddings are over in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And you spend all this time and money and effort on the wedding ceremony itself, and then it's just done.
Oh, yeah, man. We spent more time taking pictures than the whole time of the ceremony. I mean, it's horrific.
Oh, yeah. Which, a side note, I will say advice that I will give younger people that this gives, and this has nothing to do with weddings, just in life. Do take more pictures. The thing is, you have, back in the day, people had the lug cameras around if they wanted to take pictures to keep it disposable in their pocketbook or their back pocket or something. With phones, take pictures a lot. I mean, don't spend all your time taking selfies, but I'm saying if you go somewhere, take a few pictures and take pictures of people in your group because you just down the road, I promise you, here's a true thing. I used to be one of those kids with a video camera, and I didn't video everything, but I mean, if we were doing something funny or whatever and I could get it out and record it, I would do it. And sometimes people would be like, oh, quit, put the camera down, man. Why? And every single one of them, when we've gone back and watched footage from like 15 years ago of like, man, like they'll hear themselves in the camera be like, oh, man, put that up. We'll be like, dude, I'm glad that you didn't listen to me. Like, it's awesome that we can go back and watch this now.
Yeah, man, you got me wanting to dig through my old archives. I got a lot of stuff.
I mean, it's just, and like with pictures, man, just don't know who will be here, who won't be here, when the good days that you're in are going to end. So You just take pictures.
telling
That's
you,
my
man.
life advice. Just take pictures. Don't go overboard. But if you go somewhere, if you got people over, take pictures. Take pictures of everybody there.
You remember like the process of editing like a home movie back in the day? Like you had the little tape that went in the camera that you had to put in like a VHS adapter. You
And
know
then
what I'm
feed
saying?
it to the computer.
Yeah, well, like I had a double VCR, so like we would put the little tape and the big tape and put that in the VCR.
Oh, I remember the little tape that goes inside the full size tape.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, have a blank tape in the other deck and, just cut and record and cut and record.
Record, stop, record, rewind,
Jesus,
get to
man.
that scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
God, that used to be a pain in the butt. Just imagine when people had to slice like film.
Oh, yeah, man. Phew.
I
Crazy.
bet that was a pain. But yeah, take more pictures. That's just general life advice right there. And so moving on to our last story of the day. Now, this one, as you know, we always try to kind of wrap things up with a feel-good story because there are enough crappy people out there that the good ones deserve some recognition. And there are a lot more good ones out there than the media would have you believe.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get on to the good news. So check this out. This is really cool. A lot of world records, can be kind of moot. They're just kind of stupid and pointless. However, this one is much better. And for instance, like a stupid one. One guy broke 46 wooden toilet seats over his head in under a minute. Like,
Yeah.
that's cool, but who cares? Like, he just was trying to get into the Book of World Records.
Right.
So check this out. A bunch of scuba divers got together near Boca. What is it called? Is it Boca Raton? I've seen it. I just never
Boca
have.
Raton?
Boca Raton. There you go. I've just never actually had to say it out loud. Florida on Saturday and attempted to break the record for the largest underwater cleanup. They cleaned trash from the ocean floor, and they all had to be in the water doing this for some, at the same time to qualify. The previous record of 614 divers was set in Egypt in 2015, and they just topped it. Someone from Guinness was there, and the final count was 633 people, so they beat it by 19 folks. I haven't seen the official total yet for how much trash they cleaned up, but they were right next to a pier and pulled out about 1,600 pounds of lead fishing weights alone. Mm-hmm. I just don't get people who just throw stuff in the ocean, though.
Yeah, dude, it's so stupid. I've fished with people who just like sink their
That's
cans in the river,
so
and I'm just
stupid,
like,
man. Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Like, man, take your trash. Like when we go backpacking, and I'm not being. This isn't saying like oh, we're great people. It's just something my dad taught me as common courtesy for the damn earth growing up. When you go like hiking or camping, carry like a trash bag with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't leave your trash behind, man.
And not only try to leave it as good or even better than when
you found it.
You know, if somebody else left trash. I just probably like yourself. I grew up watching Captain Planet. And,
Well, I stepped just not this summer, but last summer, man. I gashed my big toe open, and it was pretty. Like, it's not too, but like it took a while to heal. But you know what I gashed it on? A broken glass bottle in the frickin' river. Like, just got out of my kayak, went to take a leak. And, yes, now I learned my lesson and I have shoes on my feet at all times when I'm kayaking. But it sucks. Like, I shouldn't have to, in the sense of because somebody's stupid enough to throw broken glass in the creek. Like, yeah, man. So it's awesome to see people out there cleaning that up. If you're out on the pier, man, just take your trash with you. There are trash cans all over the place. Like, just don't. People can suck sometimes. But people like these people, they're awesome.
Yeah.
Would you go scuba diving ever?
Yeah, I've been curious, man. My dad used to scuba dive, like not like deep, but he would like scuba dive like in the mouths of caves, like not deep in the cave system, but yeah, like he used to have the scuba gear in the house and all this stuff.
Yeah, man. I think it'd be cool to do. I mean, drowning is my biggest fear, but as long as at least the first few times I had someone there professional to kind of guide me, or I was doing it, in like a creek or river waters I'm familiar with, I'd be fine. Going out of the ocean, I'm not going to lie, I'd prefer to have a few people around me to help my odds in case Jaws shows up.
Dude, have you ever seen those stories like people telling about how they got lost scuba diving in caves?
Oh, dude.
And just like, I mean,
darkness.
Yeah, that's horrific, man.
Oh, yeah. Just like those kids that got stuck in the cave.
Yeah, like the Chilean soccer team or
and
whatever.
You remember that one guy was trying to save him and he drowned, ran out of oxygen, man. It's horrible. So, I don't really care. I've seen more horror stories from going too deep in the caves. Like, I love to explore, and I would love to explore some caves. But if I can barely fit, I'm probably not going through it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, speaking of stuff to do in Virginia, like the Luray Caverns, I think that's what they're called, man. It's awesome. I mean, they're actually guided tours. You're not exploring.
What part of Virginia is that in?
I know we saw them on the same trip we went to Monticello. So
there's some cool caverns at Natural Bridge. I can't remember what they're called, I was wondering if that maybe was what you were talking about.
I think so, because I know we like that. It was one big trip. We saw Natural Bridge. We went to the caverns. I hope I'm not mistaking the name, because we went to some caverns.
I'll say there are some sweet caverns up there at Natural Bridge.
Yeah, so that might have been it.
But yeah, so that's going to wrap it up for Trending Tuesday. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. If you hadn't hit subscribe yet, but you've stuck around this long, hopefully it wasn't too terrible. So consider hitting that subscribe button. Also, JP, fill them in on the Patreon.
Patreon.com/thepodcastingdead.
It's a beautiful
thing. There will be a link in the description, and contribute $1, contribute $1 million, whatever you want to contribute. It all goes into the podcast for equipment, for trips, for getting guests in. It just grows us. We're coming up with merch. But
we're like banking it up. Like, you could look at our thing, and we've taken not $1 out of it yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are going to use it solely to improve. We want to eventually make these video podcasts.
Yep.
And this is going to help it.
Yeah, and once we hit 20 patrons, we will have a drawing for a Podcasting Dead prize pack. We've already thrown in a Walking Dead action figure set. A video for that's on the Patreon page. Justin contributed something that I'll be doing a video or pics of pretty soon and putting on there. I've been meaning to, but haven't. So it's going to be a pretty cool little prize pack. And like I said, anybody's in the running, whether you put in $1, whether you put in $100. So,
but if you do the million like JP was talking about, I mean, your chances have greatly improved.
Yeah, I would love like just some great, just super rich and crazy, like what do you call them? Well, I guess
like entrepreneur that just is like listening to podcasts and hears us and is like, I for some reason find these guys to be funny and entertaining. I'm going to contribute $100,000.
Tell you, man, stuff like that happens. Our mutual friend Jason, just some random guy in Germany, heard his music on the internet. Next thing you know, he's flying him and his wife over to Germany, and they had a European vacation just because this dude liked some random little singer-songwriter over here in Virginia.
You're right. But
you never know.
It don't matter what you contribute, and if you don't contribute, we still love you to death and still are just as happy to have you at the podcast. But just know that every dollar contributed will improve this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Once we get, you said 20, right? It's with the cap when we're going to do the contest. The first 20 people will be entered into this prize pack.
Yeah, that's the idea.
And it's going to be a little bit of everything that kind of that makes this podcast. It won't be just it'll be a lot of Walking Dead stuff, because we definitely won't forget our roots. That's what we started off doing, was talking about The Walking Dead. But it definitely will be things that encapsulate kind of everything we talk about here on the podcast. So who knows? I love backpacking and hiking. I might throw you some backpacking gear in there. It's just going to be this really cool prize pack of just a bunch of different stuff that hopefully when you use it or see it, it'll make you think about us.
That's it.
We have shipped knives. I was about to say I could put like a rad survival knife in there, but yeah, we did ship a knife that one time. We did a giveaway for The Walking Dead. So who knows what'll be in the box? So just pledge to the Patreon, and also too, we do some cool stuff. We have some videos there. We're going to try to go one night with our good buddy Matt Crowder to the graveyard here in our town and kind of give you a little backstory on Me and JP, the song that he wrote, which if you haven't checked out, just look up Matt Crowder, Me and JP. It's on YouTube and wherever music is available. And it was written loosely off of one of JP's experienes.
Yeah, it was kind of inspired
loosely
by
because
his adventure.
Because if that really happened to you, then just I don't want to be around you anymore.
Yeah.
But go check it out. Great song, even better guy. And social media, JP, where can they find you?
Oh, boy, it's a long and winding road. You can get me a Jpslim on Periscope. I was Periscoping yesterday. It was a lot of fun. If you're not on Periscope, you're missing out. So get on Periscope, Jpslim on Periscope, J_Radsaw on Instagram, and JP5000 on Snapchat, JAYPEA 5000 for that one. And there you go.
There you go. Mine's a little bit easier. It's just I'm Justin Lloyd, 2 L's in Lloyd, and you can find me on Instagram, Snapchat, and Periscope. No spaces, no apostrophes, no nothing. Just I'm Justin Lloyd.
Plain and simple.
You can see us a little bit more behind the scenes. I'm about to buy a new drone. I have one, but mine's it doesn't have that good. I mean, it's a fun ass drone to fly. But it doesn't have that good of video quality. So I plan on getting back out there and hiking since my daughter has been born. It's been about a month and a half, coming up on 2 months, and I have not been hiking since the weekend before she was born. So I plan to get back out there. I plan to put together some really cool videos of hiking, and JP likes to go hiking too, so I'm sure he'll be along with me on some of those. So all kinds of cool stuff coming to the channel and social media. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope to see you tomorrow for Random Rambling Wednesday, which, if you're new to the channel, is where we are just unleashed, and sometimes the conversation is pretty wild.
Yeah, I don't know what we'll talk about, but we'll talk about something.
We always find something.
Matt Crowder, he might just join us for that one.
That would be super cool.
So we'll see what happens.
Be super cool. And don't forget, we'll also have a Supernatural podcast coming out hopefully in the next 2 weeks. We'll have a 6-episode run on that where we talk to different people about their paranormal experiences, including one of our listeners, Dan Ashdown. We'll figure out how to connect with him in England, and we'll have him on one. So until tomorrow, we will see. I don't even know how to wrap this up. Just
it's over, man.
Yeah,
it's over.
Just let it go.
Yeah,
just let it go. We will see you tomorrow. I'm Justin.
And I'm JP.
And we're the Podcasting Dead.
Yeah.